Hello, everyone. I am CJ Pippin, and I am joined by Andrew Soren, and we are talking all things IPPA and talking about the IPPA World Congress, which is upcoming. And I had a lot of questions as someone who's never attended an IPPA World Congress. And that led Andrew and I to thinking that a Q&A might be a good thing for our MAP friends. So welcome, Andrew, and tell us all about IPPA World Congress, which is your beautiful background.
Thank you so much, CJ. Thank you so much for agreeing and volunteering to do this. This is so generous for our MAP community. Hello, everyone. For those of you who don't meet and probably know me, and most of you probably do, my name is Andrew Soren. I graduated in MAP 2013, so MAP 8. I have been in AI ever since, and I'm also on the board of the International Positive Psychology Association, and I'm one of three co-chairs of this year's World Congress of Positive Psychology, which is happening in Vancouver, July 20th to 23. You can see the details right beside me, and yeah, it's like a labor of love, this thing, which I'm really I'm excited to be able to share with this community, because I actually think it's really cool that there is a practitioner who is chairing this Congress, which is kind of a first. It's usually been scientists who've done that. And so,
Yeah,
yeah,
I was going to
let's
ask you
talk about
about
that.
that. As a practitioner, I mean, so many of us are practitioners. Tell us about the World Congress from the perspective of being a practitioner instead of a presenting scientist.
Completely. So I think that the Congress is pretty interesting relative to many academic conferences, because one of the things that IPPA really tries to do is straddle this line between research and practice. And so this World Congress, and we have them at IPPA every other year. The last one was virtual because it happened during COVID. But the 2 years before that, it was in Melbourne. 2 years before that, it was in Montreal. This is the eighth one, so they've been happening for many, many years, thanks largely to James Pawelski. But those conferences really do a pretty extraordinary job of trying to do this dance between research and practice and really bring practitioners and researchers together to get exposed to each other in different ways. And so, yeah, if there's about 1,500 people who typically come to these, we would love there to be even more. And so
Yes.
exactly, buy your tickets now. And so that audience is really split pretty much down the middle between practitioners and researchers. And they're really from all over the globe. I mean, it's pretty exciting, obviously, because we're in North America. There'll be a disproportionate number of people from North America, but we literally, I think that there were over 70 countries represented in Melbourne when we did it there. People really do come from all spaces, all walks of life, all professions, all academic disciplines that are interested in the positive to this Congress, to be able to explore and share. And it's a pretty cool place as a practitioner to really see not only the greatest and latest, most innovative science that's going on, but also how it's being applied all over the world.
Well, I know that we're always thirsty for more knowledge, and we have limited opportunities, or have had limited opportunities to gather since the pandemic. So, tell us what will we be learning when we are at the World Congress, and if you could, just a quick FYI as to why it's called a World Congress instead of a conference, for instance. It sounds like there's a lot happening. So tell us about that.
It's a good question. I actually don't know the answer to the why it's called the World Congress. We're gonna have to ask James that question.
We
But
need robes, we need
but I
like
think,
something.
well, I mean, I think one of the reasons why I'm gonna say it is a World Congress is, number one, it really is about the world. So this is the only global, truly global positive psychology conference that is meant to be a positive psychology conference. So not a well-being conference, not a positive education conference. There's other things that certainly exist out there that try to be global, but this is the only truly positive psychology conference. that is global, that's out there. So that's number one. And the Congress, rather than the conference, I actually think speaks to the fact that it's about coming together. It is about people getting together. I actually think that, there's 90 hours of content over 3 days. There's hundreds and hundreds of sessions that get done. But I actually think that it's the space between those sessions that's the most exciting and vibrant and alive. Certainly my own experience of attending World Congresses in the past is that it's that Congress. It's like that coming together in the halls, in the exhibition room, at the gala, all of those kinds of things that are the opportunity to meet people, to get to maybe say hi to an idol that you like have had in the positive psychology world, to just get exposed to things that we don't remotely touch in the MAP program, especially because like the way in which this field is growing is extraordinary. I mean, no matter when you went through the MAP program, even if you're literally going through the MAP program right now, there is science that is coming out every single day and practice that's happening every single day that's like so vastly more than what we got exposed to. So I don't know.
It
I think
sounds so exciting. And just to hear you talk about those spaces between really kind of piqued my interest because as Mapsters, we love a good social event. So tell me, are there opportunities for any map gatherings at this world event? Because we are, even though we, like to occupy our space, we are only a fraction of the world of practitioners in positive psychology.
completely. So there's lots of gathering and social opportunities. So I'll take that big, and then maybe I'll go in smaller. So first of all, again, there's so many spaces in between sessions that we really try, and this year especially, and maybe especially because I care so much about the design of experience, we're really trying to create these moments of connection and high quality connection everywhere in those little interstitial spaces, like maybe even like decals on the ground that like they give you a question to ask the person that you happen to be standing beside. So like all sorts of different ways that we are trying to spark creative collisions within the hallways. Then there's also galas, there's events, there's dinners that exist, there's lunches and meals, and all of those kinds of breaking bread opportunities together where you just kind of get to be with other people. There are social things that happen throughout, and that's a big part of what the experience is. For Mapsters specifically, there will definitely be opportunities. I actually have heard rumors from folks like Lisa Sansom, and there's actually a whole bunch of Mapsters who live in Vancouver, who are really interested in trying to create an opportunity for pen Mapsters to be able to come together. And so there's work happening over there. And if you're interested in that, then I think there's a Slack group right now in the MAP alumni Slack channel that's trying to gather people who might be going. And like in Melbourne, I think that there were over 50 of us who were there. So I'm guessing that there'll be even more because it's in North America this year. So hopefully, I mean, there's more than 700 Mapsters at this point. My goal is at least 500 of you are there. That's my hope.
Wow.
But I just think it would be fun for all of us to be able to gather in this context. But then there's other Mapsters, like there's Mapsters in the UK, there's Mapsters in Melbourne, there's Mapsters all over the world now. I think that there's 5 to 10 different map-related map cousin programs now that exist around the world. And so there's been opportunities for Mapsters from different programs to potentially come together and meet and understand how we're applying all of this work together. So there's those kinds of opportunities as well.
Andrew, you mentioned some of your idols, and I think certainly if people go to the website, which is ippaworldcongress.org, they will know that the bios of all of the presenters are there, and some names just immediately pop out. Obviously, Roy Baumeister. I saw on there Carol Riff, Barb Fredrickson, our own Martin Seligman. So, like, there are so many big names on this. I guess a smorgasbord of academics. How do we choose, and how like what does a typical day look like from the perspective of the attendee?
Yeah, great question. So this is I will apologize in advance for all of you who come. This is a paradox of choice. Usually, the way that a day is structured at a World Congress is the day is sandwiched with plenary sessions. And a plenary session means all 1,500 people are in the big room listening to one session that we have carefully chosen. And we've chosen those sessions because we think that they, number one, just represent the greatest work that is happening right now in positive psychology, the most innovative, cutting edged, just like provocative topics that are out there, and also represent a diversity of perspective on those topics. So almost all of those sessions will be panels this year. All of those sessions will have multiple people speaking from different perspectives on a single topic, and they'll all be super interesting. And then in between those big plenary kind of sessions, you have a whole bunch of concurrent sessions. So literally you have usually you have four different concurrent sessions you could probably be going to in the course of the day, and like in terms of timing, and then you have like 10 different rooms, all of which have different sessions at the same time. We as a program committee, and all of those sessions are juried. So we have, we did a call for proposals, people submitted abstracts, we had teams of people reviewing those abstracts and peer reviewing them and choosing kind of the top close to 500 presenters to be able to present, again, the latest, greatest, both practice and research on positive psychology. So we try our best to divide that up and to make it easy for people to know what's research, what's practice, to make it easy for people to know what is work and organization related versus what's positive education related versus what's clinical. And then many other kind of subdivisions. We try to make it, there's different types of sessions. So there's symposiums where it's like all one theme and it's organized by different voices. There's keynotes that are kind of longer, specific panels. There's applied sessions that are really about trying interventions and learning in that kind of a way. And there's also ignite sessions, so really fast 5-minute kind of rapid fire timed sessions. We try to create as much breadth of different possibility, and then posters. So literally, like over these 3.5 days, you can't see everything, but you'd have the opportunity to see up to 500, different kinds of sessions.
It sounds incredible. It sounds like exactly right up the alley of most of the MAPPsters that I know. Tell me a little bit about sort of the logistics, like maybe the nuts and bolts. Like, do we register on the website? Are there, are there visa needs? Are there, areas to stay where most of us are congregating? When does the early registration close? There seems to be a lot that we could.
A lot.
Right.
So here's basically my short answer to all of that is go to ippaworldcongress.org. You can see, the website right beside me. That is the place where you will find answers to all of these very practical, tactical questions. And there are way too many answers for me to spend the time going through right now. I think that the thing that is most important for you to know is that if you register before April 14th, you will have access to early bird pricing. And I say that because this Congress is expensive. I'll just say that. Like it's a reality that it's in Vancouver. It's not crazily more expensive than other Congresses of this kind, but it's still expensive. And this will be the cheapest that it will be moving forward. So if you wait till April, yeah.
What is that cost, Andrew?
Yeah, it totally depends. Because it depends if you're a student. It depends if you are an IPPA member. But it can be anywhere if you are a student and you are a member, it could be $645. If you are not a student, it could be as much as, and you're not an IPPA member, it could be as much as $885. But like those prices go up to like $1,200 if you wait until after April 14th. So number one, book by April 14th if you think you're going to go.
Okay.
Number two, the website has a whole bunch of hotels that we have affiliated partnerships with. And those hotels have amazing rates relative to what the going rate in Vancouver is, because they gave us those rates back in 2019 when we thought we were going to do this conference. So they basically held those rates
Oh,
since 2019, which means they're like kind of half the price of retail value. And we only have a limited number of those rooms. So book by April 14th, book your hotel through the Congress site. They're the best hotels that are around. And if you can't do that, there are other ways of being able to make it cost effective.
well, thank you for that. And I have a question that maybe just really gets into your personal experience of being a co-chair this year. What are you most excited about for this Congress? Like, what is the one thing that you're like, oh, I just cannot wait?
One of the things that I'm most excited about is that almost all of like the big invited sessions that we have are people that I don't know. And
Mm,
that's really cool to me. Like, I mean, as somebody who's been around the MAP program for a decade now, um, I'm like, I think I know a lot about positive psychology, but there are so many incredible people doing amazing work from different parts of the world in different areas that are not names that I knew before. And so I think that that's like one of the things that I'm most excited about is just being exposed to this whole world of really incredible stuff that just hasn't been part of my experience up until this point.
so maybe a MAPPster who's been to another World Congress will be completely surprised by the content that they're absorbing at this
I'm
conference.
hoping so. I'm hoping so. Yeah, like I think that there's a reality that there's like the usual suspects of positive psychology, and most of the time those usual suspects end up on these stages of the World Congress. And of course, many of them are there. There's a lot of people who want to see Marty speak, right? And Marty will be speaking, but Marty's like even in that one session that Marty's going to be talking on agency, we also have Roy Baumeister and Ken Sheldon also who've like just written books related to the topic of agency talking. And so just this notion that like there's going to be so much more debate, dialogue, exploration, broader perspective taking. That's really what we're gunning for this year.
It sounds like just an amazing opportunity, amazing cross-pollination. Thank you for doing all of these Q&As with those of us who do not know anything about the IPPA World Congress. And it's just really exciting that it's going to be in person and at least closer than maybe Australia. So I encourage everyone to go to IPPA World Congress and take a look and see what might fit for them, what might be exciting for them, and read the bios of some of these amazing academics. Anything else you want to add, Andrew?
No, I mean, if you have more questions, obviously we couldn't get into everything in this one session, but if you have more questions, you can reach out to me. I've got a lot of people emailing me, so I might just like delegate it to somebody else who's an event manager for the World Congress. But feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to use the contact information that is on the IPPAworldcongress.org website. Our event planning team, ASN, is amazing, and they do respond to everything, and they're very helpful. So yeah.
Right. So any questions like around dietary, volunteering, visas,
Totally.
all of those like minutia type questions can be
Totally.
answered through the website and through
That's
your
great.
event.
Yeah, totally. Big plug for volunteers. We're definitely looking for volunteers. So if you wanna step up into that, great opportunity. Again, on the website, all that stuff is there.
Fabulous. All right. Thank you, Andrew.
CJ, oh, this was such a pleasure. I hope to see so many of you at the World Congress in Vancouver.
Yay. Hope so too. All right. Take care. Bye bye.